Did you guys see the story that came out about JoJo Siwa? She was on Dance Moms in 2015, and then she had a song. I guess she moved into music. She's been on some of those like random reality shows too. So anyways, here's the story, because you guys know that I do follow culture and politics and faith and health, but I don't do a whole lot of entertainment, pop stuff. I'm just not really drawn to it. But this story I am drawn to because I initially read it and I shrugged it off. And then I kept seeing the story get shared. I'm like, there's something to this. It's enough that people are interested in it and they're sharing this story. So I might as well just dig in a little bit and offer my thoughts. So here's the breakdown. This JoJo Siwa, this young girl, she's 22 now, but she burst onto the scene when she was 9 years old. So she really grew up in the limelight. She was on Nickelodeon. And then she, in 2021, was on Dancing with the Stars. And she marked history because she was the first same-sex pair on Dancing with the Stars. You guys, I don't watch any of this stuff. I really had to dig and figure out the background of JoJo. At 17, here's where the story really begins. At age 17, JoJo came out as pansexual on TikTok. That was in 2021. So 17 years old, she came out as pansexual. I want you to think about who you were at age 17, because this really does matter. Now, because she was already in the limelight, when she came out as pansexual on TikTok, she was cheered by her fans, even all the way up to Elton John. Okay, so a pretty big deal for a 17-year-old to come out with her sexuality publicly and then be met with crazy applause all the way up to someone like Elton John. But just recently, and here's where the story where I'm taking you. She told Daily Mail that she felt pressured by the LGBTQ plus community and past partners to adopt the label, quote, lesbian, which she says now felt like a cage. So when I first looked at this, I thought, okay, I've seen a lot of conservatives spin this as a positive, like, oh, she's dating a guy and she's no longer a lesbian. But I think there's actually something deeper in all of this that demands our attention. So she did say that she felt pressured to adopt this lesbian label, but beyond that, she's not rejecting the label queer or even like the idea that she's bisexual. While I don't think that this is an outright positive that she is now rejecting the label lesbian, I do think that there is something to this where we are seeing now a lot of kids who have embraced some form of very public gender sexuality portion of this gender ideology then retracted. A 2023 Brown University study found that 28% of trans identifying youth detransition. It probably is even higher than that. That's just one of our studies by Brown University. And a lot of times those detransitioners cite social pressure, which echoes JoJo's experience, that she came out saying that she was something because she felt pressure and then she was applauded for it. As conservative moms, as Christian moms, her story warns us about the gender ideology cults reach into our kids and about growing up as kids in this world of social media pressure. I think it's really, really important that we as moms understand that we're not raising our kids in the same world that we grew up in. The whole thing has changed. The curriculum has changed. The way we used to understand relationships has changed. Kids are now leaning into social media and they're having friendships with strangers. They can be friends with celebrities. They receive likes from people who they've never met, and that can really fuel their reason and their feeling of purpose. And so it's really important that we understand that the tide has shifted. And I know many of us do, but this story is just a good reminder that it's the wild, wild west all over again as parents. A 2022 report from the Manhattan Institute notes that 53% of U.S. public schools introduce gender identity concepts by kindergarten. By kindergarten. By kindergarten, kids are getting fed the idea that gender is fluid, that a boy can become a girl, that sexuality can shift and change, that you can feel that you're a boy if you're a girl. All of these things are at this stage of the game in 2025 beginning to be pushed on kids as early as kindergarten. By age 8, some curriculums encourage exploring pronouns, as seen in California's 2019 Health Education Framework, which is insane. I have done deep dives into that, and if you don't live in California, thank the Lord that you don't live out here. Obviously, this all serves to confuse kids. That's the bottom line. And it serves to create peer pressure that can pressure kids into feeling like they have to be different. Kids used to never even have to think about this. In kindergarten, kids were learning a stick A says ah. And now as early as kindergarten, we're teaching kids that Billy can be Betty. That never used to be taught. God's design is male and female. It's a good, wholesome design. It orders society. It makes the society thrive. And we're living in a world now that has not only rejected that, but is actively pursuing our youngest and most vulnerable to teach them a twisted lie is reality. That's where we're at. A 2024 UCLA study shows that 10% of kids ages 10 to 14 identify as non-binary, often influenced by, it cites, social media like TikTok, where JoJo shared her journey. So I think it's important to note that her pressure at age 17 to label herself, it highlights the risk of what this ideology is doing to our kids and what this world of social media and the likes and the applause and the shares of things like JoJo's story teach our kids is valuable. We have to protect our kids. We have to foster open talks. It's really important that I know it can feel uncomfortable if you're a Christian, if you're a conservative parent, having these conversations with our kids, but believe me, they are hearing it. And if not from you, they're hearing it from culture and from their friends who are on the apps. It's really important that we create a conversation. The best advice I ever got is don't approach sex and the gender ideology talks with your kids as if it's just a one-off. You have the conversation, you close the door, and you're done. Create an open conversation that evolves. Ask questions. Tell them that they can always come to you, that you're always a welcome place to discuss things that might be confusing. As a Christian, it's so important that we are actively reading the word to our kids and with our kids. Even if your kid is older, I grab my kids around the breakfast table. My Bible's over there. I grab my kids around the breakfast table and I throw down the Bible and we read from the word. It's great to have devotionals, and have those kind of like cookie cutter questions that you discuss with your kids, but it is so important to be grounding your life in the word with your kids. And this teaches where our kids go to for discernment, where our kids should go and turn to when stuff gets really confusing, where they draw values from, where they draw identity from, where they draw truth from. We have to, in this day and age, be consistently turning our kids to the word of God as the authoritative truth in a way that is honest and real and doesn't feel preachy. But that's a part of our lifestyle, our daily rhythm. I wanted to bring this story to you just as a reminder of this world that we're living in and what it's doing to our kids and the dangers of the curriculum that's being pushed in our schools, and then the echo chambers of social media that applaud what's being taught in entertainment and in our schools. So hopefully this encourages you to sit down with your kids, have an honest conversation. If they're young enough to know who JoJo Siwa is, that would be a great entry point. Hey, did you hear about JoJo Siwa? What do you think? Why do you think that she got so confused? Why do you think she's still trying to figure it out? What do you think about this gender ideology? Have open conversation where kids feel comfortable coming to you. I hope you found this helpful. I hope it helps give you some context and thoughts that are deeper than the superficial headlines that we've seen shared over this story. And I would encourage you, if you liked this, if you found it helpful, to share it. And then wherever you're listening to it, please like and subscribe. The Britt Mayer Show is across all platforms: YouTube, Spotify, X, and Apple Podcasts. Please subscribe there. We bring great content to help you think better as a conservative, as a Christian, and a parent.